Hi again, everybody. We're here today to talk about the politics of the Gilded Age. Gilded Age, of course, gets its name from a Mark Twain quote, where he said that this period from 1870 to through the 1890s is an era that is gilded. And gilding is where you have a thin coat of gold painted over the top of some metal that's worthless. So it looks like it's gold, but if you scratch under the surface a little bit, it's rotten. And that's what Twain is trying to get across to us about the Gilded Age. Everything looks like gold on the outside, get under that surface, and it's not so great. So, let's talk a little bit about this era politically. First of all, it's an era of laissez-faire or hands-off. Laissez-faire is a French term about leaving things alone. And every level of government pursued laissez-faire policies during this time. A business is polluting, hands off. Business isn't paying its workers enough, hands off. Business is cheating people, hands off. Government's hands are off the economy. There's not really any kind of very serious taxes businesses have to pay, no regulations they have to follow. Businesses can do really whatever they want. Many people at this time, and to this day, believe in what we might call the infallibility of the free market. That free markets, if left alone, will take care of literally every problem you can imagine. So if there's a problem with unemployment in your community, free marketers would say, no, there's not a problem with unemployment. There's a problem with people who aren't willing to train for the jobs that are available. There's a problem with people who won't start their own businesses. And if you leave them unemployed long enough, they're going to go to work. They're going to figure something out. They're going to say, gee, I better learn a new skill or I'm going to starve and die. Gee, I better start my own business and be an entrepreneur or I'm going to starve and die. The free market says nothing is going to motivate people quite as much as those sorts of things. Free market says businesses should be allowed to get giant and powerful, and they should be allowed to influence politics. They should be allowed to buy votes, because at some point the people will get sick of it and they'll say, you know what? I'm not going to buy things from company X anymore because I don't believe in what they're doing. And the market will punish them for their bad deeds. A true free marketer, a true laissez-faire person, believes government has absolutely no role in any of this whatsoever. All government can do is screw it up. But if you let things just take their natural course and let the market do everything it wants to, everything will turn out fine. Now, let's be honest. That's not the way things are going to work out most of the time, okay? It's just as communism is a completely ridiculous idea where the government can run everything and it'll be efficient. I don't think so. The idea of a completely free market with absolutely no government intervention, we've also seen, especially in this period in history, that doesn't really work so well either. So let's talk about some of the things that happen. First of all, you have massive economic downturns with the Panic of 1873 and the massive recession that happens in 1892. Both of these caused joblessness, starvation, homelessness, and people started demanding more. They said, why isn't the government taking care of this? Why isn't the government helping out farmers? Why aren't they helping out people in the cities? Why aren't they helping stop these problems of malnutrition that are happening? And socialists, for sure, said government had a role in fixing problems. Social gospel people, more interestingly, said that government needed a role. Social gospel people, as we talked about in a previous lesson, are folks who believed that their religion was calling them, part of our religious duty is taking care of other people. And they're doing a lot of the work that today government would do, but they're also saying, government, you need to step in here and do things too on behalf of the community. Business people, many of them said market forces are going to fix it all eventually. And you ended up with something called the gospel of wealth going around, where super wealthy people said, well, look, if I donate some of my money to, like Andrew Carnegie did, creating libraries in every town, then I've done my part. You don't need a government. See, I just created libraries. There you go. But in that case, you're really relying on a very wealthy person to one day wake up and decide you deserve this money and have it happen, which is great when it does, but it's not always going to happen. Politics in the cities are becoming really corrupt, really, really, really corrupt. If you remember Andrew Jackson back in the 1820s and 30s, Andy Jackson's whole thing is patronage. To the victor go the spoils. Once I win, I get to bring all my supporters with me and take over every job because any idiot can do government stuff. Jackson's ideals really filter down to the local level in even more damaging ways than they did at the national level. Political machines rise in most cities. Some of them are Republican, some of them are Democrat. A political machine is like a pyramid. At the top of the pyramid is the city boss, okay? And this is one person, typically not elected. It's not the mayor, but this person picks who the mayor is going to be. This person runs a massive pyramid of people who are gradated into, a ward boss, precinct workers, and then immigrants down at the bottom who do the work of voting for them. They run this giant pyramid of people who all kind of kick money back up to the top to make sure that their political voices are heard. So the party boss at the top hands out spoil systems jobs to supporters. So you support me and my ticket in this election, we're going to make sure you get a job as a cop or a firefighter or working for the harbor master or something. You're going to get, being a street sweeper, you're going to get a job from the government. You're going to be taken care of. You keep your top supporters in these top positions, like being the head dog catcher of the town or the chief sanitarian or these kinds of things. The base get these smaller jobs, or they are told, look, this is a complimentary card from the police department. You get in trouble, you just present this to the right person. You keep your base happy because they're going to get patronage jobs and they're going to get a political voice. They're going to be heard. And in New York, where the biggest of these political machines was, Tammany Hall, run by a guy named William Tweed, better known as Boss Tweed, the Tammany Hall system brought in especially Irish immigrants, fresh off the boat in the 1860s and 70s. Welcome to America. You're one of us now. We're going to take care of you. And the machine would provide some social services. It would provide some health care. It would provide a way to get a job, a way to get housing, job training. These kinds of things would be provided by the political machine and by the loyalty of this base that would keep them in power forever. One of the other big political fights at the time was on metal money. Now, this is where things get complicated, and I'm going to try and simplify it a lot, and I'm probably going to simplify it too much. From the beginning of our country, our dollars had been based on silver and gold. Okay, generally speaking, it was silver or gold coins made of silver or gold. And then there was paper money that went around, but that paper money was really just kind of a promise. It was almost like a check is today, where you're saying to somebody, okay, I'm giving you this paper money with the promise that you can turn that paper money in to get a piece of gold. Like 15 of your dollars will get you 1 ounce of gold when you go in. Something like that. Well, it had been based on silver and gold since the beginning of the nation, and there had been more silver than gold, so basically America's dollars were based on silver in the early days. But in 1834, Andrew Jackson decided, we gotta have our country based on gold. Everything gotta be based on gold. And Jackson moves our dollars to be based on gold. This is one of the things that leads us towards that Panic of 1837. That was the first really big economic downturn in American history. It didn't work out real well. Well, we stay on the gold standard, and it keeps on going that way for the next 30 years, leading up to the Civil War. And then when the Civil War happens, we got a lot of problems. Half of the country's gone. They took their gold and silver with them. And now the Union has to pay to outfit a giant army. How are you going to do that? Well, they decide, we're just going to print money. We're going to print money that's not based on silver, not based on gold. It's not based on anything except the promise of the full faith and credit of the United States government. And they called these dollars greenbacks, okay? Just the greenback dollars like you have today. Because these were not backed by money. They were backed by the green ink on them. And they were not convertible to gold. You could not take 15 greenback dollars into a bank and say, hey, I want to change this out for gold. They'd say, nope, can't do it. That is not redeemable for gold. It's not what they call a gold certificate or a silver certificate. So this is the way things stay throughout the whole Civil War, throughout Reconstruction, and then by 1873, Ulysses S. Grant starts saying we got to pull money out of circulation. So the United States starts pulling greenbacks out of circulation and reducing how much money is out there. By the time you get to 1879, we're back in the gold standard. Now, the best way I can explain this to you guys, because what we're talking about is something that's a really abstract concept. How much is money worth? Money is only worth what you can buy with it, okay? So if there's a lot of money out in the economy, and everybody knows there's a lot of money out in the economy, prices are going to go up and wages are going to go up, all right? If there is less money in the economy, prices and wages are going to go down because people know there's not as much money out there. The way I've always explained this to people is try to imagine this, which is hard to imagine in a year where we haven't been in the school yet. But try to imagine that we're at school and it starts snowing at 8 o'clock in the morning and it don't stop. And by 2:30 they realize we're all going to have to stay in school for the night. And everybody has to stay in their second hour classroom. So you guys are staying in my classroom. There's 20 of us, and we stay in the classroom together. And we're also going to pretend we're all in the same classroom, right? So we all got to stay in the same classroom for the night. I happen to know, because I have magical Boyle mind, I happen to know that every single one of the 20 of you has $1 in your pocket. I have one spare bottle of water in the room. And I am a capitalist-leaning guy. I believe in the power of the free market. And I say, all right, guys, I'm going to sell this bottle of water. What you going to pay for it? And somebody says, I got $1. Well, I know you got $1, and I know that's all the money you got. But I also know I'm not giving that thing away for $1. Okay? I know how much money's in this room. I know I only got one of these. I know what you guys have in your pockets. So you guys pool your money together, and 10 of you say, we're going to pay $10 for that bottle of water. And I go, you know what? Sounds fair. Sold for $10. Here's my bottle of water. And then you all got to go, and take just a little bit of 1/10 of the water each, right? Okay, now, imagine that, where there's only $20 in this whole economy of my classroom. Now imagine that it's the whole same scenario. It's a snow day, we're stuck, we're all in the same room together overnight. I've got one bottle of water, but I know that each of you has $100 in your pocket. And I want you to think for a minute, am I still going to sell that bottle of water for $10? Absolutely not. The price of that bottle of water just went up to $1,000. Okay? Because I know that if 10 of you get together, you can pay me $1,000 for that bottle of water. Now, what changed here? Nothing, right? The bottle of water didn't change. The snowstorm didn't change. Being stuck in overnight didn't change. The only thing that changed was how much money was in the economy. So, I hope this makes it clear to you guys. When there is more money out in the economy, prices and wages and everything go up. When there's less money in the economy, prices and wages come down. So, when we're talking about the greenbacks era, lots of money went out into the economy and prices went up and stuff, okay? Now, what happens during the 1870s that we've already talked about? Lots of people start moving out west, and they buy land and they buy farm implements and they take out loans. And they take those loans out when there was this much money in the economy. Now, all of a sudden, Ulysses Grant has decided, we're going to go back to this much money in the economy. Here's the problem, okay? I, as Farmer Joe Boyle, I'm still selling my potatoes for whatever I can get out of them. I used to be able to get $1,000 a potato. Now I can get $10 a potato. The problem is, I still have to pay off my loan that I took when money was worth this much. So my farm, I bought for $10,000 up here, okay? And it was a good deal. But now, I wouldn't be able to find somebody to pay $1,000 for my farm because there's so much less money out in the economy. I hope this makes sense to you guys, all right? The amount of money that's in the economy really has an effect on our ability to buy and sell. It has an effect on our wages, and it definitely has an effect if there was massive inflation, which is a lot of money out in the economy. If there's massive inflation and I take out a loan and then it deflates rapidly, I still got to pay back that loan, even though my cost of paying it back has like doubled, okay? This is why you care. Let's say a $5 greenback now equals $2 in gold. You took your loan out in greenbacks, you're paying it back in gold. You need twice as much money to pay back the loans that you took out. Who benefits from this? banks and the wealthy. If you loaned out greenbacks and you're getting paid back in gold, happy birthday to you. Things are going great. All right, so this was great for the banks. It was great for the wealthy. Who is it bad for? Farmers and small merchants. Those are the people who take out loans. Okay, a person who runs a general store in a small town, a person who runs a farrier, like a horseshoeing place in a small town, the village blacksmith. These people take out loans. People who have a ranch take out loans. People who are growing crops take out loans. Those are the people who got hurt really, really bad by going back to the gold standard. Now, why do we care about all that other than, man, that sucks to be you guys? We care about it because it's going to create a political revolution in this country. The rise of what we call the populist party. All right? Populism is a political ideal. Okay? In populism, it's a political approach that appeals to ordinary people who think the elites are not hearing their concerns. And in the case of the 1880s, 1890s, there were absolutely these ordinary people out in the country, these farmers, these small business people, whose concerns are not being heard by Washington. Okay? Because remember, we said, businesses are getting bigger and bigger, the banks are getting bigger and bigger, and the only people the politicians are listening to are these bankers and these big businessmen. Okay? So there really is a disconnect between the elites in Washington and New York and the people living out in the countryside. They form what they call the People's Party, and it becomes known as the Populist Party, to get the United States back to its dollars being based not just on gold, but on gold and silver, to increase the money supply, make it easier to pay off those debts. Now, why do they form this third party? Because Republicans are 100% for gold, and the Democrats are about half for gold, half not. They form their own party based on the idea that we need money based on silver. We need more money in the economy. So, they run a guy for president in 1896 who wins a couple states in the West and loses. In 1892, wins a couple states in the West and loses. Then they run another guy in 1896 named William Jennings Bryan, who he's not quite Henry Clay in how much he's going to show up in history, but he's pretty close. William Jennings Bryan runs for president and gives this speech when he accepts the nomination for president that you shall not crucify mankind on a cross of gold. And he is intimating, he's saying that mankind is being crucified, tortured to death by the gold standard. Bryan is going to get destroyed by William McKinley. Now, to take us through these presidents at this part of history is our old friend, Dr. Wednesday Quincy Adams. So, Dr. Adams, I want to run the names of a few presidents by you and just kind of get your reaction to each of these presidents during this Gilded Age. So, let's talk for a second about James Garfield.
Trash. God rest his soul.
Okay. Well, how about his successor, Chester Arthur?
Trash.
Okay. How about we talk about Grover Cleveland, who comes after Chester Arthur?
Trash.
Okay. Benjamin Harrison, something nice to say about him?
Short. Trash.
All right. Grover Cleveland comes back. Anything nice?
Trash. The sort of trash that marries a teenager.
Ooh. Okay. William McKinley?
Mostly trash. God rest his soul.
Oh, boy. Well, Dr. Adams, thank you. And I think we all look forward to you telling us the stories of the two assassinations in there later on. For now, everybody, thanks for paying attention. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I know this is hard, and you didn't have to do it, and you did, and I appreciate it. So, thank you, and be well.